Amitabh Tiwari is joining us as well. Now, Amitabh Tiwari, we are looking at these images, very different from what was being anticipated. Nitish Kumar is very much on the hot seat, and he is the man of the moment.
Yeah, essentially, clearly, he is the person without whom no party in Bihar can form the government. And this time also, he proves it correct because if there were any apprehensions that the BJP would want to form its own government or install its own chief minister, JDU plus Mahagathbandhan can also form the government alternatively, which means एक बार पहले जब तक है समोसे में आलू तब तक है बिहार में लालू एक टाइम पे ये चलता था तो अब नीतीश कुमार के लिए कुछ न कुछ जरूर सोचना
अमिताभ जी वो तो कुछ नया क्या सोचा है उसके बारे में बिकॉज लाइक आई सेड नोबडी क्वाइट
प्रोग्राम के दौरान सोचते
nobody had quite predicted this kind of victory, even you, where vote wipe was concerned. But I'll come back to the question that I was asking you, Amitabh ji. Right now with what the 202 strength of the assembly looks like, which is of course, inside the assembly there, you have given us data through the course of this election, slices of data that have been so insightful. When you look at, the Vidhayak Dal today, what are your insights?
No, see, essentially, if you see clearly the hold of the five dominant caste groups in Bihar, which is the Yadav, Muslim, Kohiri, Samaj, Rajputs, and Bhumihars, they used to account for around 55% of the Bihar assembly strength. That's now down to 49%. So there's a slight decline in the percentage of these dominant caste groups in the assembly. Also, if you see, almost 90% of the seats had the same caste or social group influence over the last three elections. They were winning 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3 last elections. That also has reduced now to almost 60%. So one can argue that perhaps development or beneficiary politics or freebie politics, etc., has worked in this election to a larger extent. Caste still remains the dominant force, but development and beneficiary status also works. And also the fact that Nitish Kumar, we all were writing him off, and many of us were writing him off. But many of us also, till the last date of the elections, were saying that he could emerge as the single largest party. That couldn't happen. I mean, the JDU fell by 4 seats. But this time, clearly, the entire landscape of the Bihar assembly, if you see in terms of the Muslim Yadav combined, has fallen to half. And the Muslim MLAs or community representation is just 4 to 5%, which OIC has been talking about, versus a population of 18%. So the challenge for Nitish Kumar or NDA is how do you give equal representation to communities in the cabinet when you have just one member of the minority community winning from the NDA ticket or the JDU ticket. So that's what will be the balancing act, which Nitish is seen as a secular a person or a secular element in this coalition. How does he balance this anomaly, and how does he chart out a vision for the future?
Yes, Manisha, Priyam, 20 years in power and counting. That's how Nitish Kumar's own journey would be seen as far as the governance or administrative responsibility or administration of Nitish will be seen. 20 years is what we are looking at, and the chief minister is back, and how?
Yeah, I mean, there are many threads to it. I remember just as we broke off to hear the Honorable Prime Minister in Coimbatore, we were discussing the people surrounding Nitish Kumar. Remember, also the Chief Secretary who served him as his secretary, building roads, disaster management even before that. Few have analyzed the fact that the long-term social capital and trust towards Nitish Kumar built out of corruption-free flood management. Today, Bihar must be one of the few states in the country that has in its state service a cadre for disaster management officers. And I can tell you that my field researchers who are advanced doctoral students in various universities in Patna, even while they were doing the work with me amongst youth and coaching centers, they gave the exams and they've become disaster management officers. And I got first-hand examples from them of how the SIR was being done. First up, for communities that were displaced and did not have houses to live. And I was told the Chief Minister took a daily reportage of what the situation was. There is over a 20-point checklist of what to do for those whose homes have been washed away in floods. So that's the Chief Minister for you. Elections at his doorsteps. He may have won, he may not have won. He did not know it in early August whether the election was going this way or that. But for him, figuring out, he would get up and I would be told, even as he was unwell, many of us spoke about that, he would say, चलिए आज बेलागंज घूम के आते हैं, देखते हैं वहाँ क्या हो रहा है. Now these are districts in south central Bihar where poor agricultural laborers reside. So this was the Chief Minister. My most touching moment was in 2012 as I was doing an evaluation of a school program in Vaishali district. It was a very cold January night, I still remember, January 12, I was shivering. The Chief Minister was in residence in that district and suddenly came the instructions through the district magistrates, यहाँ जलावन की व्यवस्था कीजिए, बच्चों को बहुत ठंड लग रही है, इनके घर में जलावन नहीं होगा. So I think, and there were no populist headlines and advertisements the next day in the newspaper, but a regime of care established through long-term work in political economy
Manisha,
theories around the world. These kind of policies don't get
all
votes. But Nitish
all that is being talked about in terms of 10,000 rupees as freebies. I was speaking to one of the top bureaucrats and he told me that the proposal, whether it should be one-time payment of 2,500 rupees as has been done by other states, or should they be going for 10,000 rupees, it was the Chief Minister who took that call in front of his bureaucrats and he said, it should be income generating, that amount should ensure amdani for the women. That's what the policy of Nitish Kumar certainly would be remembered, and that's what his legacy will be about, empowering women across generations, Amitabh Tiwari. And women, as we have been saying, a constituency Nitish nurtured, Nitish created, and a constituency which rewarded him every time since 2015.
Yeah, to be fair to Nitish Kumar, when many state governments had announced a cash toll, which is a monthly cash toll, and opposition had also promised a 2,500 rupees per month, it was very easy to fall into this trap of announcing something like Madhya Pradesh or a Maharashtra. But Nitish was fully aware, I mean, to be fair to him and to give credit to him, that the Bihar's financial resources and the budget cannot afford anything like a monthly toll. So what he did, and as Maria mentioned, that the amount should be an income generating amount. So in the trackers at VoteVibe, when we asked people or women what did they do with the money, almost 58% people said that they started some kind of small or micro business with that money. Correct. So that money was given for women empowerment. It's a seed capital, you can say, from the government or from Nitish to the women or the Jeevika Didis of Bihar to start a business or to reinvest in their business if they already are doing and become self-reliant and independent. I read somewhere in an article, very heart-touching, that women of Bihar, especially rural women who were used to be called by the surnames of their fathers and husbands, now very proudly call themselves Didis or Jeevika Didis. So I think this is a big transformational change which is brought in the life of women in India and through a series of steps. And that's what perhaps he is getting rewarded for.
Right. Dr. Priyam, it's usually it's seen electoral heroes, especially when they come at the back of such brute majority like Nitish Kumar has, make them larger than life. Nitish Kumar is kind of different because he's always had that kind of quiet persona about him in the past. But when we talk about, just reflect, because we've been speaking about this through the course of not just this broadcast, but through the course of covering this election. So much was said at one point of time that Nitish wasn't all there, that there were health issues with Nitish. Will he be able to come back? Will the BJP support him? So much said. So much was said that possibly this was the sunset election for some of the socialist leaders that dominated the landscape in Bihar, that proverbial fork in the road. And today, at the back of this massive victory, everything has fallen by the wayside. And in walks Nitish, and everything seems perfect. He seems to be perfectly healthy. He's making the right decisions. He's back in the chief ministerial chair. All that conversation has completely got blown away with this tsunami that we witnessed in Bihar.
So you can see a very clear and firm decision in Shri Nitish Kumar to keep his personal matters away from the media. Nobody knows that his wife was very unwell, passed away having contracted an illness. She was at the Max Hospital for a very long time, but no sirens outside, no hullabaloo. I just discovered through some people that she had been here. Nobody remembers what happened. You've seen Nitish Kumar's son. Now you see a few pictures, but nothing out there, nothing dramatic. So I think one of the very important lessons of Indian politics that Nitish Kumar leaves behind is that he can keep quite a lot of news right within him. And I remember in those days when Lalu Prasad Yadav and he were very good friends, Lalu Prasad would often jokingly nudge him and say, अरे आपके तो पेट में बहुत दांत है, आप बहुत सारी बातें अंदर रखते हैं. And I think Lalu Prasad always the very different person, jovial, jocular, cracking the joke, but Nitish quiet, always persevering. At the end, you can see that it's the slow ant that is the victor. It's the slow ant that is a triumphant elephant in India's Bihari politics. And I would say that the word Bihari, which only denominated low-class labor for this country, now has a new tag, and which is that of Nitish Kumar. Never having discussed what he felt in his heart, never emotional, but always calculated and keeping a thing or two. So I would say, even as he's not in the pink of health, God has given him that grace and that mercy that he's able to keep all his troubles and his ailments just to himself. For him, even his personal suffering is not a matter to be discussed in the political and public arena of
Manisha,
Bihar.
Priyam, since
For
you
him,
speak about
always,
that,
the good governance
whenever
model.
he has traveled to Delhi or traveled abroad for his treatment, he has completely maintained low-key. It has been a low-key affair. And Amitabh Tiwari, that's quintessential Nitish Kumar. The quiet Bihari, as he is often known as, someone who's a doer. He has walked the talk. He again told some people close to him just few days ago that this term will be challenging. He has to ensure that Bihar ko five top states mein le jana hai. Those were his words. He has a roadmap tasked. The bureaucrats have already prepared the blueprint, which will start unveiling in the next few months. This is going to be an important and challenging tenure for Nitish Kumar. He cannot continue to say that Bihar is landlocked, Amitabh Tiwari, because landlocked states closer to our home state has developed. And just look at the pace at which they have developed while Bihar continues to struggle.
Yes, sir. So essentially, he has been a doer. I mean, he has let his actions speak more than his words. But as you mentioned, that in his entire legacy of social justice and bringing Bihar to a new path of development compared to vis-a-vis what it was during 1990 to 2005, one piece which is missing is that he's not been able to create a lot of jobs or bring
That's right.
industry to the state. Leave industries, despite having a better law and order record, even the services sector has not grown in the state. So that is something I think which he would be very, very wary of and would want to undo this in his last term probably, because the manifesto already talks about around 1 crore plus government
Jobs.
and other private sector jobs. So I think the focus in this term of Nitish Kumar largely to be creation of jobs, creation of an ecosystem where entrepreneurs could
True,
thrive.
because that chapter needs to turn. Chapter from great roads, electricity, pani now needs to turn into job, development.
Absolutely.
All right, let's quickly, take a moment. We're going to come back to the both of you, but just take a moment, Maria, to reflect on what possibly will be the cabinet where
How will it
Nitish
look
is
like?
concerned. So clearly, one thing is out in the open. Samrat Chaudhary was the one who proposed Nitish Kumar's name as the chief minister, the leader of, the legislative council, the Vidhayak Dal. The top probable, Samrat Chaudhary will continue to be deputy chief minister. So will Vijay Kumar Sinha. You want to give us a sense of who else to expect from the JDU?
So Vijay Kumar Sinha and Samrat Chaudhary, Preeti, they have done proper caste balancing,
Right.
because Samrat Chaudhary comes from the important Koiri community, the same community from where Nitish Kumar comes. So that's the calculation. And Vijay Kumar Sinha is coming from the Bhumiyar community, because Bhumiyars and the upper caste are
need to
captive
be.
community again for the BJP. Go ahead.
All right, no, okay, so, all right, so that is where the deputy chief ministers are concerned. Now, the JDU leaders who possibly will make the cut, Shravan Kumar, Vijay Chaudhary, Ashok Chaudhary, Vijendra Yadav, Randhir Singh, some of them, the close coterie. All right.